Yes. That's good.
All right. Well, good evening, everyone, and welcome to BLAW Live. This is Bishop Larry Ward, and we're always thankful that God has given us the opportunity to come and do these live and even sometimes pre-recorded talks just to share some things that will inspire you, that will motivate you, that will equip you, but also to really help you to grow. And so we've been on a hiatus for the summer. Pray that God has blessed you during the summer, that you had an opportunity to get some rest and to, connect with your loved ones. And I know that we're in a pandemic, but yet I pray that you found some places of rest and enjoyment even during the summer. And so we're going to begin this season with a topic that is dear to my heart, and that is mentoring. And as we're talking about mentoring and leadership, and we're going to be talking about some different subjects and new subjects that we haven't talked about before, I trust that it'll be a blessing to you. And I just want you to know that as we're going through this season and in this season, we want to be a strengthening point of strengthening you and spiritually, but also encouragement. So tell somebody about BLAW Live. You can subscribe to our channel. And this will be a great opportunity for all of us to learn and also grow. You can ask questions and certainly please use the chat feature, and you can chat your message in. We'll get it and we'll allow you to ask some questions, and we're going to attempt to answer you as best as we can and as best as we know. And so with us tonight is Javon Johnson. And Javon is a third-year Master of Divinity student from Gordon Conwell Theological Seminary. And he's from a place you may not have heard of it. Some of you may have heard of it before, but it's called Plant City, Florida. And he's come here to attend school. He's grown up in a church environment from his birth. And he loves the Word of God. And he's been preaching for us at Abundant Life periodically. So you can go to the Abundant Life website and you'll see some sermons that he's preached and ministered to us. And it was just enriching during this time of as we're feeding and ministering to the saints. He was just so much a blessing to us. And he's also has a very keen interest and desire to be involved in public health. And so he's been a support to us in our All Flavors program at our church to really help people to stop smoking and smoking cessation and really help people actually get much more healthier with their lives. So at the age of 25, he's trying to finish off Gordon Conwell in the next semester. And he's one of my mentees. And we're going to be talking about mentoring. So this is a great opportunity to hear a little bit about what I call the backside of mentoring, some of the practical and the mechanics of mentoring. And we're going to just talk about that. And we're going to ask you to really ask some questions. So if you need a mentor, or if you are mentoring someone, I pray that this will be a blessing to you. So Javon, how you doing? Good to see you.
Good to see you too, Bishop. Doing well, and I'm just excited to be on the show, on the live show, as you say, this evening. So, but doing well, and good to be talking with you.
Well, it's great to be here after such a seems like to me like a long season of not being on BLAW Live. Yeah. We're going to get started, and we're going to talk about what is mentoring. The first question is what is mentoring? So we hear the word mentoring, maybe a lot of definitions may come to someone's mind. So what would you, as a person being mentored, what would you say mentoring is from your perspective?
Mentoring to me, and I kind of had to prep for it like I was getting ready to do a sermon again, but but mentoring really to me is kind of like coaching and counseling in a way. And just to start off with that kind of direction and giving that definition. I mentioned earlier, Bishop, about the importance of someone who can metaphorically take you by the hand and guide you through life, and just be able to be there when you're coming up against certain situations and things that you may not have seen before. You definitely need someone who can give you some counseling or some coaching, how to handle those situations, and to come out on the other side victorious. And so to me, it's like that person who is feeding you information, giving you information, and also helping you usher through whatever you may be facing at the time that you're doing it. One little caveat I want to put to that, and I do want to mention it tonight, is that it is your life. And so your mentor is not going to force you to do anything that you don't want to do, and going to try to force you to do something outside of your own will and calling, but they do want to help you be a better person and improve in whatever areas that you may need some come up in. And so it is your life, but that mentoring piece kind of adds the benefit to directing your life. And so I would say, kind of sum that up, is that coaching and counseling, but also that direction. Because of course you can live your life on your own, but the mentoring is so important, such a benefit to give sort of direction. So that's what I would kind of give that added benefit of definition to that.
Good. But what I think mentoring is, and I come at it from a approach of thinking as, well, if I think about touring, if you're on a tour, you're on a journey.
Hmm.
Your attempt is as a mentor or someone who's mentoring me, I would think of it as, we're journeying together in some ways. Although if it's a mentor, he's or she is one who's ahead,
Yeah.
but it's not necessarily like a student in a classroom who's being instructed, though there is instruction, but it is a time when we're journeying together in some way. And I think that mentoring is really a part of discipleship. It's, we call it discipleship in the church, but mentoring is really this bond of someone who's experienced in one area or another, joining with someone who needs that experience, that counsel, that encouragement, and they're just journeying together. And I think that it's an important part of all of our lives. I'd had so many different mentors in different areas of my life where they took me along the way, and we journeyed together, and they were able to impart some wisdom and knowledge into my life. And that's how I became who I am today. So when it comes to mentoring, getting down a little bit more and kind of breaking down on kind of what it might look like in terms of the mechanics of it. When it comes to relationship, how does that start to formulate when it comes to mentoring someone or as a mentee? What do you think? How does that relationship work? How does that relationship work?
Yeah. So seeing it from sort of that student that's kind of learning, like you said, but also like the mentee kind of perspective. To me, that relationship is formed out of, it has to be some sort of like connection that you made with the person that you want to come up under, if you will, to kind of learn and gain some valuable information about whatever context you are in. And it is different areas that you would need that kind of benefit and direction in going. And so for me, that relationship kind of starts with someone you identify as a mentee, someone you have identified that can be a mentor. It can be through someone else that you know that has been mentored by that person, or it could be just out of the blue that you identify that person and say, you know what, they've been successful in the area that I want to be successful in. And so maybe I should ask them a few questions about how did they get there? What are some of the things that they've learned along the way that has kind of helped them not even fall short of their goal, but to help them be better in what they're doing. So that relationship, I think, is sort of key. But you have to identify that person as a mentee. And for me, that was through connection and through having someone who connected with, of course, Bishop, but that connected me as well. It was like the link inside of that. And so I think it starts with that connection and building.
Yeah, I think connection, and I just sense that connection is such a real big part of it. And some would call it like chemistry. Chemistry, right? For us, you being from Florida, I'm being a northerner.
Right.
you're raised, we're both raised in church, and that's part of a connection too. Really, part of our connection also is that you're graduating, in May, you're graduating, and I've graduated from the same seminary, right? But in some ways, of course, we're different. Of course, we're different in age, and of course, but yet there is some connection, and there's some symmetry that kind of goes with that. And being introduced to you from a friend of mine was a good part of that connection, in terms of me knowing you a little bit before I actually knew you. And those connections are so important as you're talking about, well, how do we really kind of get along as a mentor and a mentee, and how do you get along with somebody as you're journeying with them? Because sometimes the chemistry may not be right, the personalities may not be right. And so as we're starting to learn each other, we're still learning. We're in no way what I call the perfect mentor mentees, as we got to go together. We're still walking together, and we're still learning how to work with each other. And even when it comes down to, all right, well, how do we deal with expectations? And how do we deal with talking about expectations in a way that we both can receive them? So I may be more direct, you may be a little bit more indirect, and I may have to just ask you, okay, well, what do you mean by that? So as we're talking about mentoring, this goes along with it as it relates to building relationship. So when it comes to, on your side, being a mentee, what are some of the things that you value in the mentoring relationship that would say, okay, these are the things that's really helping me as a student, as a person to grow in Christ, as a person to grow? What are the things that's really helping you?
I think for me, I think I do value our spirituality. That would be number one, because when you're talking about mentor and mentee, I'm glad that we're putting it into kind of like the Christian context, church context, if you will. And we need that person who is truthful, who's honest, and also is a follower of Christ themselves, and are able to show you the life of a believer, and be a person who is an encourager, and also someone who could just stand beside you, and be able to stand with you through different situations. So to me, valuing that we are both Christians, believers in Christ, to me, that's so important. Of course, that's not every mentor-mentee relationship. And like you were mentioning earlier, that we're working towards developing that relationship. But I do value that we're working it out in a church context. We're working it out as Christians. And so to me, that's so important and so helpful for not only my own spiritual walk, but someone else who I may be in the position to mentor at the end. Because you're right, Bishop, it is a discipleship process. And after we are discipled, then we turn around and do the same. And so we keep the cycle going. So I value the Christian context. I value that we're believers. And to me, that's important for the mentor-mentee relationship.
Good. So when it comes to just getting down to the basics of what kind of skills are you learning when it comes to mentoring relationships? And maybe we can talk about, well, how does a mentor and a mentee relationship work when it comes to the skill development of the person we're mentoring? So what have you gained in terms of skills? And let me now talk about what I'm trying to teach you as skills. Okay. So I'm listening to make sure if I'm getting across correctly too.
Well, let me just put this out there on BLAW Live. Bishop is teaching me about timeliness. I have to confess my sins one for another, but that's fine. But timing for me, I really am working on time management and being a person who stands with punctuality and being in the place where I'm supposed to be. And I think that's a purpose. It's for a purpose because you don't want to miss out on what's going on. You definitely want to give your presence at a punctual time because someone else may need some assistance at that time you're to be there. And you don't know it just because you may have came after that time. So that piece to me, that's what I'm learning. Punctuality. But also behind that is communication. And I think that's almost lacking in some mentor-mentee relationships, that communication, that telling your mentor, exactly the problems or the challenges that come your way. And for me, I almost didn't know how to communicate effectively, and I had to learn how to talk to, of course, to Bishop in a way that not only am I communicating what I'm doing now, but I'm communicating in the future. Some of the things that have come up with me as far as being at the ministry, and I tell you, it has all been good. It has all been good. I've definitely grown at Abundant Life. But it's that thing about communication where we're on a call, when we're having our mentoring sessions, I'm able to explain all those things that I'm doing at the current time and moment, and then also what my plans are, and some things that I may have found challenging. So I would say that communication piece as well is a skill that I've kind of modified a little bit more. And once I get that punctuality, no stopping me now.
Yeah, time management was part of the mentoring as well. That I think that we need to, as mentors and as people of God in general, that you have to do things in a timely manner. And timely manner not only goes into a meeting time, but also how you're directing your life and how you're leading your life, and punctual with your assignments, and responding back in a timely way. And so we had a lot of conversations about that. Yes. And still have some. Yes. About, hey, let's hold accountable now. Let's what time. And that also gets into some other areas of mentoring where, okay, well, let's not look at it just being on time. Well, what is taking a lot of time? Maybe we talked about priorities. We had a lot of conversations about priorities. Well, if you're doing this when you should be doing that, you missed your priorities. So then now you have to run back and do something that you may have should have done before, or should have pushed off so that you could be punctual and be on time. And so we've had conversations about that as well, and some other things, but just basically skill development. So I just want to make sure that folks know it's not necessarily that we're talking deep things, theological things, and you're talking about the Bible all the time, but you're talking about simple things in life. Just making sure that you're dressed appropriately, making sure that you're speaking when you're on a stage. How can we do something that's going to be better in your presentation? So we talked a lot about that, and the point is of that. And as a mentor, it has made me sharper in a number of ways to make sure that I'm communicating, but also to be the example. If I'm late all the time and I'm not on my game, you're gonna say, wait a minute, you said to be at church at 9:00. Now, how can you waltz it in here at 10 minutes after 9, 9:15, 9:30, talking about, you just not, how come it's good for me and it's not good for you?
Right.
That's not mentoring. That's not mentoring.
Right.
So when it comes to prayer and all those things, it's more than just the spiritual disciplines. It's some natural processes in that as well that we have to mentor in and model before each other. And so I want you to be strong there. I want you to say, one thing that is glad about the theological education, the opportunity to preach and the opportunity to do these things. But I'm I want to hear a testimony from somebody. So, Javon Johnson, I tell you, that brother is punctual. that brother, when he says 8 o'clock, They're gonna be there at 3 o'clock. That's right. That's right. And you know what? The ladies will love it when you're punctual too.
Oh man. Oh,
right?
man.
Come on now.
Can't be stopped, sir.
You can, you're dependable. So when you say I'm gonna be there a certain day, certain time,
yeah.
You're gonna be right there. Right there. All right. So we got some time. So I don't know if there's any questions out there, but yeah, we're going to keep going forward. I got a couple other questions. So what do you think are some red flags when it comes to mentors? So people will say, I can't find a mentor. I don't even know what to look for. Well, first of all, let's talk about red flags. What would be a red flag or flags for you as it relates to mentoring?
Wow, I was thinking about that before I even was thinking about having a mentor, especially being in seminary. But one of the things that I knew that I really needed someone who wasn't just caught up in time and being busy all the time. Always, in one place or the other, but it would have time for me to mentor me along the way. And the busyness to me, I think that is sort of like, that causes me to kind of pause a little bit because, of course, you want to be impressionable as a mentee. But I also want a mentor that's not always consumed with being busy and consumed in projects and consumed in other things of life that they don't have time to counsel me or coach me and give me some sort of direction when I'm facing a situation. So that busyness piece to me is kind of like a cause to pause. I think another one is compassion or sympathy in a way, because a lot of times there are mentees who feel like they failed at something and they haven't done it right, and they didn't ask for any help or any advice, and they're coming to the mentor, he or she, and expressing all of the emotion and all of the things that they're feeling at the moment. And for me, it would be compassion and sympathy for my situation that I'm going through. That would be, I need that. I can't have someone who's not sympathetic and not compassionate for what I was going through. Of course, Jesus himself is himself compassionate and sympathetic towards our needs, our griefs. But it needs someone who is there to kind of comfort in a way, kind of that person who knows exactly what has happened and has taken place, and that I'm able to talk to. And so for me, if that mentor is not in that space of having any sort of like sympathy or any sort of like compassion towards my situation, that kind of makes me pause again and helps me rethink, well, I really want that person to mentor me and coach me and counsel me. I need tough love, need good criticism, but also need that compassionate piece, that caring piece, because I think that shows that the mentor really wants to help me improve. And so for me, Bishop, that I appreciate that from you as a mentor, that you really are caring about how I am able to improve, and knowing that some of these things that I'm working on and developing and taking the time to help me through that. So to me, some of those red flags about the busyness, never too busy. I can always reach out to Bishop when need be, but I also know that he has that caring piece, that compassion piece too, so that helps me grow as a person.
Good. Well, thank you for that. Thank you for saying that. When I think about mentoring on this side, I think a red flag for me, and the reason I'm saying for me is because I'm also talking because I'm being mentored as well. And so when it comes to being mentored, I think one of the red flags for me is the person so much interested in what I can do for them, and have they not understood that they're supposed to be mentoring me? So I'm supposed to be the one that should be the kind of a focus of an attention in some ways. That the goal of mentoring for me is that, you're trying to help a person reach their goal or reach their destination. You're investing your time into them. But one of the red flags is if, you know, a relationship gets to be, well, how come I'm always kind of helping them along or being feeling like I'm used by them to get some work accomplished? That's somewhat, you know, a little bit of a red flag. That they need to be somewhat personally, as you said, concerned about the direction and purpose by which you're called, and not only just invest in that, but really be compassionate enough to really see that there's some needs that can be met by you as a mentor. I had some great mentors, and still have some close people around me that mentor me in very different ways. And so when it comes to mentoring, I'll throw another question out there. How many mentors should one have?
Well, you know, you can. That's something that you got to take into consideration. You can never have enough direction, but also being pulled into one too many directions is something too. I know for me, I think I need a mentor for every context that I am in life, every context that I deal with in life. And what I mean by that is, for example, I'm in public health, and I graduated with a degree in public health, so I have a public health mentor. I have 2 or 3 people who are either at the doctorate level or have gotten advanced degrees in the field and have successful careers. And they're able to see me through different classes that I may take, or I'm thinking about doing a project or doing something else that they're helping me out with. So I think the number to me has to be around, it's a low number, either 3 or 4, but it's based upon what context I am dealing with in life. In the spiritual context, I have Bishop. That's a mentor for me where I am in life, and it has been awesome. And then also, I think financially speaking, I also have a mentor. Even though I'm young and a student, I still need that person. That's so important to have that person be accountable to with finances, and they're able to help me see where I'm taking the time, where I'm spending my money at, where I'm spending some of these the resources that I have. What am I giving them to? But then also being accountable to help structure that, bring that in alignment, so I don't overspend and I'm not over budget and not in deficit at all. So I think having mentors in the context of space that you're in, and I think that has to be a low number. Maybe it's 2 or 3 people. Maybe, you know, it's 1 or 2 people that you definitely know for sure and that you're accountable to. Because I to add that, it does bring a source of accountability, and you have to be able to be someone as a mentee to bring it before them, bring it before your mentor, because they only want to help you. They only want to be a person who is helping you improve where you're at. And I know it sounds cliche and I'm repeating myself, but these are just simple terms and simple basic things I'm looking for in that mentor, in that context, where I can be a person who is not stressed out and not trying to be confused and not wondering, where am I going to go next? What I'm going to do when I have that person in front of me who I'm accountable to, and they're able to help me structure myself. So just to kind of sum that up too, just in that public health space, I have a mentor there, sort of in the spiritual capacity, which is so very helpful. I have a mentor there as well, and also in finances too, because in every area of your life, you're going to need that person who can be out in front, and you're always going to be able to line up and kind of follow behind because they've been successful at it. So that's sort of my mindset when it comes to having that number of mentors, if you will.
That's good. Well, we're just about out of time, but I would say this when it comes to mentor, I think you're right. You need to have more mentors in our lives in different aspects as well. You know, I've had writing mentors. I have a faith and work mentor. I have people that mentor me in the area of finance. I have people mentor me in spiritual things as well. And also when it comes to learning skills, reading books, podcasts, these types of materials are very important in a life that's looking to develop skills and develop understanding on how to do something well. And so mentoring can come through different means. And I want folks to know that, you know, there's not a lack of mentors, but there's a lack of just understanding where they are and how to embrace mentoring in different facets. And and so there's somebody out there that's ahead of you that can certainly help to get you where you need to be. So it's great to be with you. And I want to thank you, Javon, for just being on tonight and sacrificing your time. I know that you're busy getting your work done, and just thank you for joining me on BLAW Live tonight.
Thank you, Bishop. I always appreciate the opportunity. It's such a pleasure. Thanks for even mentoring during this little time. I was taking some notes, so I appreciate it.
All right. Well, thank you, everybody. God bless you. If you missed any portion of BLAW Live, for tonight, you can share somebody that BLAW Live was on tonight. You can go back and watch at alccambridge.org, where all of our archives of BLAW Live are listed. And you can go there. Again, subscribe to our channel and just tell someone. And we're going to be talking about a fantastic topic in the next few weeks. We're going to be talking to women that are in roles of leadership. And we're going to talk about women in leadership. So you can actually tell somebody ahead of time that you want to be at BLAW Live on Tuesday night at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So thank you for joining us. May the Lord bless you. May the Lord keep you. May the Lord cause his face to shine upon you. May the Lord be gracious unto you and give you his peace, his shalom, nothing missing, nothing broken. Until we meet again, God bless you.